Hello and welcome to We Got Options with the Doctor and Son. We are here today wanting to bring up a major topic that comes up. I would say we really need to understand the awareness of it. I was kind of doing some research a few days ago, or actually for the last few months, I've been doing a lot of research. But a few days ago, I put together some information about Black women and mental health. What are we talking about when we're looking at the state of Black women and mental health? That's a large topic that we've been looking at, I think, globally at this point. Tremaine, would you say, since a lot of things happened since COVID, would you say that's a topic that's been hot on the mind of a lot of people?
Yeah, I think COVID brought a lot of reevaluation of everything that we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Yeah.
of reevaluation of the self, I guess I would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so one of the things that, since I guess nowadays we look at working in, a job and working in your career and things like that, mental health has been put on the forefront for everyone. I mean, when I go to work nowadays, I'm always hearing, individuals ask if you're okay. And, I kind of feel like if a person says they're not okay, then it needs to be investigated a little bit more instead of, oh, okay, you'll be fine. You know what I mean? So I think that has kind of changed in the working environment. And I think, COVID was one of those things that really brought it to light when all of us went home, of course, for the stay at home mandate and things of that nature. Any differences or any thoughts you have with that, Tremaine?
In terms of like everything, I mean, it really put in perspective. Like, are we really looking at ourselves? Um, in a are we really getting on the good foot when we do things?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, are we taking care of each other too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we, making sure that our fellow partner over here, is doing well, is, feeling okay. And if they are not, then, for I think supervisors, they'll refer you out for maybe some, they'll offer that we do have, EAP services or whatever, where you can go get some private counseling if you would like. Or, they are, at a point where now, if you need a mental health day, some agencies, some are not, some are suggesting you take a mental health day, and I think that's one of those things that has really is going to be a to me a change of the times when it comes to the generations beyond this, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
yeah, mental health is a big thing. But going back to the research I was doing and just wanting to have a conversation about it, the state of Black women's mental health was definitely a topic that has been in the media. And I would say also the state of Black men mental health as well. And we can talk about that a little bit later and probably for another show. But right today, we wanted to talk about the Black women and mental health. Like the state of mind that we're in now with Black women and mental health. When I was doing this research, I learned a lot. And Tremaine, I could probably, list some things that I learned that I didn't even think about as a Black woman. And that was interesting to me. So I'll tell you off Jump Street. When we think about the state of Black women and mental health, I did not think about the fact that, Black women tend to face significant disparities in mental health. Black women play multiple roles in society due to their racial and social injustice. Those things I knew, but I didn't, you
Like
know what
you knew on an instinctual level. Yes, you knew that, but
I'm saying?
you didn't think about it as, oh, that's really an issue, isn't it?
Right. So, I wanted to do this show because I think it is interesting for us as Black women to really think about, what we're doing for ourselves and how we're taking care of ourselves and to look at all the different things that come along with it. As I did this research, going into, understanding that Black women tend to face just they experience and face more racism, sexism, and financial inequalities. That was something that I was like, I know this, but oh my goodness, this is something that people are really talking about. And I think it's a good time to start talking about it, which we should have been talking about it years and years and years ago. But I think it's a good time to start talking about these things because these things are very important as we're still trying to, evolve as mankind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I think it's something that well, like we always talk about. There's always unspoken rules of certain things that we know, but we don't talk about, and we need to be more forthcoming about these things because I think when we show people the basic framework of how society works, people already have their assumptions, and sometimes our assumptions don't necessarily lot should not be what we necessarily be okay with and giving someone
Hmm.
in terms of like if you're a woman, you have to be all these things to people in your life.
Mm, yeah,
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, you were a single mother. You know what that's like to like
absolutely.
say, hey, I have to, raise the kids now, kind of solo for a little bit.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. I think the other thing too, when you think about that, we have this iconic phrase that's been, I guess, given to us, a cultural iconic phrase, I would say, as in being the strong Black women. Black women are very
Uh-huh.
strong. Yeah. And I'm going to say this. What I didn't realize as I did the research that that cultural icon or iconic phrase comes from way back from the European, kind of
Mm,
ingraining that in the slaves that they actually brought over to the US, to the New World to be slaves. But, for them to do a lot of different things as far as, of course, bearing their own children and taking care of their own houses. But that came after you took care of the master's house and
mhm.
speak for the master's wife if you have to, what I'm saying, because you just probably gave birth around the same time as well, and taking care of her house and raising her kids and making sure her kids know how to do all these things and are cared for in a nurturing way and everything, and then you go home and take care of your own house and your own family and your husband and things of that nature, which is enduring a lot of hours. You know what I mean? If you think about working, for
Yeah.
women, you know. So yeah, I didn't realize that that was a big part of that, that iconic phrase, that cultural icon or cultural iconic phrase. That Black women are strong. Some Black women nowadays, when I was doing my research, are starting to debunk it. They're like, no, I'm strong, yes, but I'm not strong in that way. I am a
Yeah.
sweet, kind, tender-hearted, loving, soft-spoken woman.
You're a human at the end of the day.
Right. And I'm not going to be silenced to be this just this strong Black woman that keeps enduring and keep going and keep moving. I'm not going to do that. And so I'm not mad at the fact that women are debunking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with debunking those stereotypes because that's what they are. They're stereotypes and not indicative of everyone in a specific group. It's not indicative to you, and you don't have to live up or down it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, with that being said, Tremaine, I want to also just, jump in and put out there that it's amazing that a lot of times as Black women, like you said, we talked about all those roles earlier, and this one really shocked me that stood out to me was saying that, yeah, Black women are most of the time the primary caregiver. I know that. They're facing great demands on their time. The pressures of being a superhero, Black woman, as in, they are more likely with all this stuff, they're more likely the ones that will have kind of mental health concerns as far as feeling sadness, feeling lonely, and feeling anxious, having a lot of angst about all of these different things that they have to, all these different hats they have to wear, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and to be honest with you, you I mean, Black women are like portrayed to be very much the backbone of the family.
I can agree. Yes. Yes.
And in that way of being the backbone of the family, everybody's problems get poured onto you.
hmm That's true.
And not only just like your children's problems. If you have a significant other of any type, you know, their problems are leaned on you too.
Exactly.
So where do you go to let that out? That's the
Exactly.
question. Where do you go to let that out?
Exactly. And with that, Tremaine, I want to go to a commercial break. But when we get back, I do really want to get into that. Where do we go to work that out? Like, where do you go to put all this stuff? So, with that, again, we're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be back after these messages. Dr. Latasha McElwain's professional consulting services. Dr. Latasha McElwain has become an elite and esteemed professional in her field of counseling psychology. She provides consultation in counseling and business practices, as well as providing supervision, consultation to professionals in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Please reach out to drlatashamcElwain.com 704-492-1105. And we're back with We Got Options with the Doctor and Son. So we're talking about Black women, the state of mental health for Black women. And Tremaine, your question before we left was basically, you get all this information, you get all this stuff, and you're, wearing so many hats as a Black woman. What do you do with all this? What do you do for yourself for all of this, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So a lot of times, to be honest with you, one of the things that I've been doing to really help promote Black women understanding and taking care of themselves, that awareness, is really promoting self care, self love, and taking time for yourself. Some years ago, I think there was a song called Some Me Time. It was a song by Heather Headley, I think it was. And that song made sense. Having some me time, just to get out, go with your friends, do some stuff on your own, get out, go to the mall, things like that, or whatever, get your nails done, your hair done, just spending time for you. And of course, Tremaine, I'm not that type of woman who goes out and do a whole lot of that, but I do take time to take care of myself in my home, as far as, taking a 20-minute downtime every day to take me a meditative bath is one of the things I like to do. Having
Mm.
that moment. I'm sorry.
No. I was just listening to you. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. And I have that moment sometimes where I do, get on the phone with one of my friends, or, one of my cousins or something like that, and just have, some good conversation. Even if I'm just listening to them talk, that's good for me. Of course, I let one of my aunts talk for about 45 minutes the other day, and she spoke to me about nothing I'm really concerned about, but I listened to everything she had to say because it was downtime for me. And so sometimes I think just realizing that you can take some downtime, on your own, is one of those things that we don't really realize, or another thing is that we as women don't give ourselves permission to do. So I think that answers a little bit of your question, Tremaine, or goes into a little bit of your question as to what do we do with it? We've got to find ways to do different things. We have to be able to have some downtime to do some journaling, downtime to do some creative writing, downtime to go paint, downtime to go outside and garden, downtime to beautify our homes. So I think those are, good starts for, a lot of Black women. And those are things that I really do, take care of. I'll tell people I have a simple one, Tremaine. You're going to laugh at me, and probably half of the audience is going to laugh at me too. But I have my hygiene ritual with brushing my teeth. They say you're supposed to brush your teeth for 2 full minutes. Well, I try to take a whole 5 minutes. I mean, I go in and I do some pretty interesting things, but my brushing my teeth I have to take 5 minutes downtime to really take care of my hygiene there, and brush my teeth thoroughly, do my water pick, do my flossing, all that good stuff, my mouthwash. That's one thing that I feel is something for me that I find is mandatory. I need that time. And in that 5 minutes, I could be meditating and doing all the things that I do. And I had that 5 minutes for myself. you know? So those are just inexpensive things that I talk about as far as, self-care and things like that, Tremaine. Does that kind of answer your question a bit there?
Yes, and I mean, I would never laugh at you for taking time to take care of yourself. I mean, that's important too.
Sure. Yeah, of course. But
And I was
mhm,
also thinking about the when I was thinking about the different stereotypes we have in our mind. I
mhm.
was thinking also, we don't talk about black women going to therapy,
Yes, that's
even if
another
it's
one.
just even if it's just I like because I mean, if you're gonna people unload on you every day, their baggage, their fears, their worries,
Yes, and
and
I'm the black woman that's that therapist. I am the therapist. Yes.
I mean, but that's not like this is your job. Yes, that's your job to be a therapist, but also that's what black women do in our families.
Yes, I get it.
They're our built-in therapist for any type of guy. They're their built-in therapist. They'll be
Yeah.
like, "Well, I gotta go to therapy. I just can talk to a lady that understand me, and
Yeah.
that's what we as black men kind of assume, even though we don't unconsciously try to do it.
Well, that's a good one. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, because a lot of men will not, really deal with therapy in that way. But that's another thing too that we're bringing to awareness is that mental health therapy or behavioral health therapy or, psychiatric therapy that people really need to consider, broaching it because to be honest with you, there's a lot that's happening out there that we do cover up and we don't, allow ourselves to get into a lot of things. And, considering that, let's talk about risk factors for a moment. When we talk about risk factors, this is one that goes with black women, black men, and probably some other cultures as well. When we're talking about the traumatized response, being in survival mode, and it's something that's generational, that every generation, of the black race, yes, we are kind of in a survival mode. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
of course.
yeah.
I mean, every day is a struggle, no matter what you got.
Right. And so that is a thought that I was like, wow, that's interesting when we talk about risk factors, about being in that survival mode, Of course, we're talking about other social stress as well, as far as racism, genderism, health issues that come along, occupational concerns. One of the things that when I was doing the research, it talked about code switching and then realizing that other folks have that aggression when they're saying things and don't realize that that might be insensitive to a black person if you say that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot there. I'm one of those persons, I'll be honest with you, in the workplace, they probably look at me like, wow. Because if you say something, I would say in a minute, I wouldn't say that if I were you. Well, why would you say that? Because that is not a comment you want to make around, uh,
Yeah, certain type of people. I'm
that's
like,
not sensitive. Yeah,
you
that's
can't.
not sensitive at
Yeah, I'm
all.
about to say you have to be concerned about what you say, especially in the workplace.
Right. It's just like, I remember working with a Asian guy. And if I said some of the things that were stereotypes of an Asian man with him present, that would be offensive to him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
I mean, as it should be. That
correct.
I mean, those aren't lived experience that we've lived through, so we can't really speak to those.
Right. And so those are the things that I do, tell people to be mindful of. But yeah, we have to deal with those things. That microaggression is really interesting, especially when, you have coworkers that really have never worked around that many black people before. And it's just a few of you in the office and you're on that, upper professional level, master's degrees and higher and higher and things of that nature, even bachelor's degree and higher. Some people just don't know what to say, and I always tell people, of course, in our field, I always say to any other counselor or therapist that's with me that you should be culturally competent by now. So that statement you should not be making. I understand that this job might be one of those jobs where you can say something like that and get away with it, but that one's not going to fly. Don't do that no more. That's just me. I've gotten
Yeah,
called
I
names
mean,
like
I think,
that.
I
But
mean, as worldly as I think everyone tries to be, we're only but so good at that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and like I said, I've gotten called into HR about it, and I have pretty much shut HR down about it and let them know that I think that at this point we should have a talk with the, inclusion and diversity department if we're going to have this conversation, because I wasn't saying it to that person to offend them or anything. I was just telling them, you might have said that in front of me and I'm going to tell you about it, but somebody else going to tell you about it in the
Yeah,
worst way.
because I like some people are, some people are a little bit more about the action than other
Mhm.
people.
Right, right. So there are a lot of things we have to look at that, Black women are, really dealing with. So a lot of those factors, do ring and hold true for the most part. And then we think about the barriers of Black women getting mental health care. Well, let's go back again. Let's talk about things why, Black women might not reach out for care. Well, we're supposed to be these strong Black women. Why are we reaching out for any care? I just had a conversation with a supervisee of mine that used to be an intern maybe 4 or 5 years ago that said, I didn't know I could request for mental health FMLA. And I said, why not? Why did you not know that? I just don't think that that's right. I was like, why wouldn't that be right? You need a minute. Well, I thought it would cause them to think that I'm just not a good worker or I'm just a lazy worker because you have a mental health concern or you have, you're feeling a little depressed right now and you need a couple of weeks off or something, or the stress and everything else is about to drive you out of your mind. I was like, no, that doesn't say you're weak. That says you're very uneducated on the fact of mental health. And I said to her, just being
I mean,
polite about it,
it says that
you're
you're
a mental
human to
health
me.
right. But I was just saying to
Yeah.
her, you're a mental health, you're going into a mental health counseling field. You've been my intern and now you're one of my supervisees that's going to be licensed in this field. You of all people should be aware. So let's work on your awareness. You know what I mean? Let's work on your mental health awareness because evidently you're aware of the mental health that we're giving to everybody else, but you're not applying it to yourself. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it's completely on brand because we think, oh, we need to work, 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 work.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's not. We can't do that all the time with nothing to look forward to. And we need to have a moment where we take that break, or we talk to somebody that we really appreciate, or that'll even listen to us. Because a lot of time in the workplace, sometimes it's like we're not listened to.
Yes. Hmm. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I found it to be very, very interesting that I was having that conversation. And with that, we're gonna go to a commercial break. And after these messages, we'll be back. And hello, this is Dr. Latasha McElwain with the Green McElwain Foundation. I have teamed up with osjourneys.com for a wonderful health and wellness retreat in Belize. Our dates for the retreat will be May 21st through May 27th of 2024. There's going to be luxury accommodations. There's going to be a whole lot of time to be able to reflect on things and finding your inner self. The health and wellness retreat will focus on just breathing, just being able to breathe. That is the mantra or the outcome of many individuals nowadays looking for a mind, body, and soul rejuvenation, restoration, and retreat. Come join us. You can get more information at osjourneys.com for travel and for the retreat in Belize. Come join us. And we're back with We Got Options with the Doctor and Son. So, Tremaine, we were just talking about, Black women in the state of mental health, and we want to continue that conversation on. But in our wrap up piece here, we're going to actually talk about, we started talking a little bit about the barriers. One of the things that people don't realize when we talk about the barriers of Black women getting mental health care is there is a lot happening. Accessibility, location, transportation issues, availability of the service. You have social issues like childcare, being a caregiver for a parent or someone else in your family. a lot of times there's some concerns with poor quality of care and cultural matching. When we start talking about that, we're talking about having competent, um, you know, culturally competent workers that are our counselors or our therapists or our psychiatrists or psychologists. We don't have that many. When we look at the statistics, it actually says that Black clinicians are only 2% that are practicing psychiatrists, and about 4% of psychologists providing care. And that's by the American Psychiatric Association. So, with that being said, I mean, it's going to be difficult for us to really find culturally competent clinicians that can speak to the lived experience of what we're dealing with a lot of times. So those are big, things to think about. And then again,
Yeah.
let's talk about racism and discrimination in healthcare in general.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
mean, you definitely. I mean, yeah, that's a huge problem. That's a thing
Mhm.
that you can get misdiagnosed. You can get, you know, basically told that nothing is nothing is wrong with you, or different diagnosis based on the fact that nobody, you don't, your doctor doesn't have that lived in experience to know, hey, this is something that they deal with. Let's
That's
watch out for this.
that's a
I
concern.
mean, that's why you talk about your health histories and stuff like that with your doctor.
Hmm.
You told him about our health history and everything, and
Yes.
everything is being watched more fervently now in
Yes.
terms of what he needs to look for to say, hey, you need to maybe chill out on this,
Yeah. Absolutely.
more of
So
this, less of that.
yeah, having the education and the doctors that really care about you, the providers that really care about you, to ask about those things. You know what I mean? That's one of the
Mhm.
biggest things.
And also we need to take the initiative to be able to tell them. I
Oh yeah,
mean, I'm about to say, because the thing is that, I mean, they're learning too
yeah, and then it's a trust
about
factor. We
about
have to
people. Yeah,
trust
it is
them.
a trust factor.
Yeah, we have to trust. You have to trust that they're the expert. You know what I mean? And that's one of the
Yeah,
things we have to
but
start thinking about.
I was like, and be willing to give them new information of about us, because if they didn't know it for you, I mean, they might have other black clients that they have, or other clients in your racial diaspora that have that have similar issues but haven't said anything because everybody just thinks they'll find it. No, you need to tell them what to look for.
Yes, that's one of the things I wanted to say about, many Black women experience, of course, anxiety and depression. And it's real important. But the question is, how many of us are really going to go get treated for anxiety and depression when we're dealing with so much? It's not just a sad or gloomy day, it's a sad or gloomy, 3 months, 5 months, 1 year, um,
I
so I
mean, that's why mental health is important, and we need to start seeing therapists about these things, because you may not see it in the moment, but having someone else seeing it from some saying it and seeing it from somebody else's perspective can help you see what you don't see.
Exactly. And like you said, mention it to your primary care doctor first could be the first sign of him starting to watch things or she starting to watch things so that they can refer you out for more, assistance, and getting more support in, with your mental health. So other things to think about, Tremaine, is sometimes taking care and healing, working from that healing process and the coping process. So when we start talking about healing, we're looking at definitely, wanting to, like we said just a second ago, having those regular checkups with your medical doctor, letting them know what's going on, letting them know what's bumming you out, letting them know how long it's occurring for, things of that nature. Speaking with a mental health professional, if it is definitely something your doctor recommends, go with the recommendation, you know? Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Get some good rest. Yes, good rest. Body movement, being out there, doing different things, walking, dancing, just having physical activity with your body, gardening, different things of that nature, um,
Mhm.
eating well, taking care of yourself. I do something called a sleep hygiene. When we talk about good rest, I do a sleep hygiene. My sleep hygiene is I like a 10 to 12 hour night of sleep. So 1 or 2 nights a week, but not one, normally 2 or 3 nights a week. 2 or 3 nights a week, I will take an early night and tell my family I'm going down early tonight. And they already know. That means that she is going to be ready for bed by 6:30. And once she's ready for bed by 6:30, you best believe she's going to be out before 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's yeah. She's going to be out.
Uh,
And when she's out at that time, she's going to sleep a full, 10, 12 hours because she wants to get all of her sleep out. She's going to get up the next day. She's going to be kind of, into things or whatever. But if she's doing it the very next day, she's going to take a whole night and do the same thing again. And that's how I call myself catching up on my sleep hygiene. I do it about 3 nights a week, at least 2 or 3 nights a week. Two is my minimum, three is my most that I'll do that. And it is the best rest in the world for me. So I tell people resting well, connecting more with other individuals, family, friends, work colleagues, networking, getting into meditation. I'm a big meditator. So a lot of things like that for women would be good for Black women, especially knowing your limits too, knowing what you need to be doing. Come up with a new exercise regimen, come up with a new journaling activity, come up with these new things that you can do, work on hydration, your nutrition. That's going all back to eating and all that good stuff as well. And then also being willing to do something new, read a book, sing, learn how to play an instrument, just different things like that. It's just doing things for you that's going to help you take care of you to get to this healing and this coping stage. And I think the biggest thing I'm going to say, Tremaine, here is also to make sure that you give yourself permission and do it. What are your
uh,
thoughts, Tremaine?
I mean, of course, you want to give yourself permission to do it because most of the time we're not. We're going about our days, in a malaise at this point where every day is like the other day, like the day before it, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
And sometimes we do need to, spice up our days with something new, maybe a new exercise, maybe a new hobby, maybe you talk to somebody that you ain't talked to in a while.
Oh yeah, a
I mean,
different
we talk,
perspectives, some
yeah, I'm
different
about to say,
perspectives on
I was
things.
like, I was like, everybody got that one family member you don't talk to like that, but you
Mhm.
wish you would, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You wish you would talk to them. Why not talk to them?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna say to wrap everything up, Tremaine, I think when we're talking about Black women, the state of Black women's mental health, I really think that open discussions can happen around a lot of different areas. And those open discussions could be about, love. It could be about being passionate for different things. It could be about showing your emotions and giving yourself permission to show your emotions, being aware of your emotions, addressing your emotions, and then also being in a place where you can seek out, why do I feel that way? Seek out those emotions. Why am I feeling that way? Explore those emotions. And then being able to kind of deal with different things like past traumas and
Mm,
focus on those things. A lot of times you definitely want to be able to, once you get into a trauma, exposing and dealing with traumas, you definitely want to get into maybe a therapy session or, with a trained professional that does trauma focused therapy, depending on how deep the trauma is. But, a lot of times we were taught to hide our traumas and suffer in silence as Black women,
mm,
we don't share these things. We suck it up. There's no time for mental health. There's no time for crying, girl.
yeah, I mean, women are
Mhm.
put Black women are put up to be pretty much very much the martyrs of our family. Our I like everybody talk about how their mama, went through a whole lot, and I mean it's true.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
but the thing is that they never get an outlet to where it's just them and themselves in
Mhm.
that point where they
Yeah.
can just decompress from it all.
Exactly.
There's no decompression. There's no escape from it.
Yes. Yes. One of the things.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm,
I don't want to be like mansplaining anything, but
yeah.
it all kind. I mean, it's the same thing on our side as men, which we're probably getting to into the next episode and stuff. We'll get into that next time.
Oh yes,
It's a
absolutely.
lot of the same areas that we go in from one to the other. A lot of it,
Absolutely.
I'm about to
Mm-hmm.
say we have more similarities than we try to believe that we do.
Exactly, exactly. Well, with that, Tremaine, we're going to go ahead and end this show. Thank you so much for listening to us. We got options with the doctor and son. Please be sure to tune back in next week when we're going to be talking more about, Black women, well, excuse me, Black men in mental health. We're going to continue on talking about the state of Black men or the state of Black people in general in mental health. And we're going to focus on Black men for our next show. So come back and join us Fridays at 8:30 a.m. for We Got Options with the Doctor and Son. Have a great one. We Got Options with the Doctor and Son, a family conversation discussing mental health and wellness topics weekly with a variety of special guest appearances. Join us every Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. on www.wdrbmedia.com.